episode 11. It's almost an entire year, and I'm very cold at the moment. I'm in my shed. It's less than 0 degrees. So I've got my little oil heater going. We've got some guests as well. Say hello, everybody. Who would like to introduce themselves first?
Oh, me. Yeah, so I'm Mitch, and this is...
Yeah, I'm Jess, and we run a magazine called Living Medieval. So, and we're reenactors, and you're a LARPer as well. So,
That's I am.
Yeah, that's who we are.
So are you.
So Jess, you very specifically said that Mitch is a LARPer as well, but so you haven't embraced that side.
So I've dabbled
Okay.
slightly. So I went to a really nice histo LARP, 15th century histo LARP a few months ago, and I delved into a bit of crewing at iLARP recently as well, which was amazing. So I have dabbled, so I'm working my way in there slowly, but I wouldn't consider myself a fully fledged LARPer yet. I feel like I've got a bit of learning to do.
I like the yet.
Yeah, keyword.
Yeah. Do you see a possible future involves you doing more?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I had such a good time at the last one that we did. We did Legio Nightmare at and what was LARP? iLARP, was it? Yeah.
Eversley.
And it felt a lot like when I used to do airsofting as a kid with my dad and my brother, just running around the woods, but with plot and dressed as, Celts. So it was just good fun. So I could definitely, I'd love to do some more eventually. He won't let me not do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she got to experience the full force of actually getting to run around the woods and be crazy, rather than being more historically accurate that she's probably used to. It was a different experience for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great. So we're going to be interviewing you today, so don't give away too much yet. We do also have Nick as well, as always.
Still
good
here.
To see Nick.
Yeah, good to see everyone. Good to see all those in chat saying hi.
One is my brother. Hi,
oh, excellent.
Hi,
Greg.
Brother. Is that restream.io? Is that the brother? No.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who can see that? That's a terrible joke. Apologies. Let's crack on with
move on.
What we're supposed to be doing. Abandoned joke. Okay. Right. So we've got a few segments that we like to go through before we get to the main topic, and the first of those is projects. So I didn't really give Mitch and Jess much in the way of warning about this. So projects, we just talk about things that we've been making, things that we've been doing since the last episode. Nick, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I've actually been on a bit of a project tear. I have a steadily growing stack of random assortments of kit for being a monster at LARPs. Last night I finished off a tunic, which I can use to just hide whatever other stuff I need to. Some awesome person made me some armor for orking, which I'm going to try out tomorrow at training to make sure that it fits and works great. Thank you very much, Zach. And yeah, I've just been working on bits and pieces, referring back to the PD brief for all the different orc nations to try and get something suitable. For that, that's been my main project drive recently.
Yeah. So absolutely, we've been sending messages backwards and forwards. Nick has been printing a lot of teeth.
Yes.
Which is a very strange thing to get photos of, just a pile of teeth on a desk. Yeah. Mitch, Jess, what have you been up to?
Do you want to show your...
Do you make stuff, or do you just buy? Do you buy stuff? Do you make stuff?
I mean, I used to be a serial buyer. I won't lie to myself, and I still probably am a serial buyer to quite a large extent. But kind of, I would say, in my later years now, but now I've probably got better at making stuff. So I've tried to push my boundaries. Now, I never really enjoyed making stuff. I didn't have the patience for it. I was terrible. And eventually I forced myself to do it. Especially when I kind of got into Anglo-Saxon and stuff. I sat down, I was like, right, I'm going to make it. I need to, because I can't just keep buying stuff all the time. And it's a little bit cheaper to sometimes make stuff yourself. And there's a nice sense of achievement. So I do make stuff. I wouldn't say I make loads of stuff. There are some incredibly talented people that make stuff out there. I know I'm not one of them. But I get a sense of achievement for making the little things. There's like little bits of my gear that I've made, and I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with that. But I'll keep pushing the boundaries, but don't expect a full cuirass or 15th century doublet to get knocked out anytime soon.
I think you like to support sort of creators as well.
Yeah,
I think.
I do.
It's quite a niche hobby, isn't it? So you get lots of people who sort of create and sell things. So it's a nice way for you to support them as well.
Yeah, like I must admit,
It's a cop-out reason.
It's such a cop-out reason. I get a satisfaction from kind of like also like supporting those businesses. I mean, like if anyone that's been to Torm or Arm and that, where we got so many traders there, where their whole business is that. So Cloak and Dagger, Jackie, she provides me with a lot of my 15th century wares and clothing, and has done, and she does it great. So I never really kind of like worry about delving into 15th century clothing so much, because she's always given me what I needed and to the best standard, and I love it. So and there's loads of other kind of traders out there that have squared me away. But there's little bits that are quite nice. I do try, but it's nice to support them as well. I think if everyone started making stuff, we'd have a whole line of businesses that we just never see anyone come in, So it's nice to have a balance, and I like having a bit of a balance. Probably looking about 2/3, 1/3 here.
And it can be easy to make something and it just not look right, because historically it was all made by professionals.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it was made by professionals. So, if you're just starting out or things like that, then maybe it won't look quite right for the character you're portraying.
Mm-hmm.
Jess, do you do any making? Or...
I do a little bit, yeah. So I'm not a seamstress by any means. So I'm currently working on another late 11th century dress based on the Bayeux tapestry. So there's an image in the Bayeux tapestry of a woman running out of a flaming house. And I've just finished a project called the After Hastings Project on Instagram. You might have seen it, where we're all depicted as 8 living historians from England and America depicting women from the late 11th century. And I was depicting a woman called Edith Swanneck. And it's believed that she could be that woman who's running out of the burning house on the Bayeux tapestry. So I'm trying to create the kind of style of dress that's depicted in that scene. But my sewing talents are limited, but I'm trying. So I bought lots of wool at Torm. I've made I've cut out the pattern for the underdress, and I just need to cut out the pattern for the main woolen overdress, and then do everything really. But yeah, so that's probably the thing that I'm working on at the moment, and also some embroidery. So for the high status, which you want me to
Go on, get out.
It's just behind. It's just, you can't really see it, but I'm just creating some roundels. So just like little roundels it looks really crude on there, but
Very nice.
To go along sort of an 11th century bin, they're kind of the tassels that hang down the end. You see them on depictions of Queen Emma. So just working on the embroidery, but it's taking me a long time because I keep on putting it down. My attention span is minimal. So, but yeah, that's what I'm working on.
There's a reason why embroidery was expensive before it was automated.
100%.
Time consuming, very time consuming. Yeah.
So I've been working on some LARP kit. I've made the braces for Nick, which hopefully work well when you actually wear them tomorrow. And I've also been working on my kit. It's been my birthday. My mother has made me a very nice tunic for my LARP character, and I have also made myself a belt, which is
I saw that.
Yeah. So I think we've all got Instagrams. We've all been sharing stuff on Instagram. So if any of the stuff like the After Hastings project or leatherwork or things like that, then you can find our Instagrams, and we should probably put yours in the description. We'll do that. We'll put yours in the description. So people can find all those photos.
I should log into my Instagram.
Look at me staring up into the distance in different century clothing.
Yeah.
We call his photograph style Mitching, #Mitching, where he just stands there and just stares off in the distance. It's actually got a name for it now. So
yeah,
it's
very Jerry Eccles.
I'll say it's the Osprey stare, isn't it? It's the pose that they all do in the Osprey books.
Yeah, looking slightly concerned, but slightly kind of mystical at the same time. You know, it's kind of mystical, that's sort of whimsical. I don't know, but
or the other one is looking very pointedly at the thing you're doing.
Yes, really concentrating. Like this is life and death right here.
It's like frown.
Oh yeah, can't look happy. Yeah. No, history was hard.
So we've said that
nobody ever smiled in history.
So Mitch is waiting on delivery of his 15th century harness, which has been made by Art of Steel, who made my armor as well. And we talked about getting together to do some photos. We should definitely do one of those ones where 3 people in armor gathered around a table, pointing at something on a piece of paper, looking concerned. Like,
it's the only way.
That's a classic Osprey as well, yeah.
Just push, some bits on a map, just a couple of wooden pieces. And
talking of maps, these arrived recently, which I don't think I've spoken about yet, but I managed to I got them from trying to remember the name maps. But yeah, they're little anvil maps.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh.
Are they to scale, Nick?
No, because the league is bigger than the marches, and we know that that's not true anymore.
So Anvil is the place where Empire LARP happens, for those people who don't know.
Yes,
so,
it's the in-character setting. Trinkety is the name of the company that I got those from.
And good. Are you going to give one to Zach so he can find his way around the first event?
Do you know, I should post one to him, yeah. A little X on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I might just spend the whole event sleeping in my tent. I'm feeling so tired at the moment, and just like, that's all I want to do.
We're going
yeah. You'll have to drag me out and show me the wonders of Anvil.
I have not yet made it over to that portion of Wintermark, having done 3 empires now, so
I'll take you. Don't worry. I'll drag you over.
Should we hit research then?
Let's do research. So it sounds like Jess has been researching Edith Swanneck.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've kind of been interested about her for a while, because you do a Harold impression, don't you?
Yeah.
As we all know. And Edith Swanneck was Harold Godwinson's wife. So as part of the #AfterHastings project, I was doing a lot of research about her, because you don't really know a lot about her, really. And from that period of history, so Anglo-Saxon, there's not really any contemporary depictions of anyone, unless it's on a coin or... So yeah, just trying to investigate her life a bit more and just bring her to the fore a bit, so people can learn about someone who probably was pretty important, but we've kind of forgotten about because Norman propaganda and how history is written. So yeah, that's been... I've just finished the project, so I've kind of finished the research on her, and I posted a series of posts about her and her life, and little depictions of her or impressions of her. But I'm onto the next one now. I asked all my followers what they want me to kind of do portrayals of in future, because it was quite fun actually to do. So I've got a few things up my sleeve coming up. But yeah, she was the latest one. It was good fun actually.
Cool. Mitch, what have you been researching?
Well,
Armor.
I'm a bit of a, to put it bluntly, I'm a bit of a time tart. So this is quite a large question. I find myself working on kind of multiple period projects all at the same time, and I like to kind of try round them off at points and where I'm happy, and then come back to them and build them back up again at a later stage. So a big one, Jess just touched on, its armor. So as you said, Zach, I placed an order this year with Art of Steel, and that has now been dispatched, and that was for a 1445 harness of Sir John Cressy, which is in Northamptonshire, effigy, and they've done an absolutely amazing job. I am so over the moon what they produced. Alexei, the head armourer there, has been awesome. Let's put it in just kind of one word. But yeah, that's been a big one. So prior to that, I did a lot of research. So the Capwell books have probably been a big one. I actually went and saw the effigy myself and took probably a photo of every single angle I possibly could of that effigy. I've got 100 photos of just one effigy, which is I never thought I would in my life. Every hinge.
Did you still find that there were some angles you needed?
And do you know what, you say that, and yes, there was, because
because I had exactly the same thing.
Alexei was like, "Have you got a photo of this slight point?" And I'm like, "You know what? No." So there I am zooming up on photos I have, trying to, it was like enhance, like it was trying to enhance the photo and trying to get in what I could. But no, so that's been a massive one. I've been using the Capwell books to kind of, they're laid on their back, which probably, as you know, Zach, has proved quite difficult when you're trying to work out what the back of a harness looks like and half of back tassets and kind of all of that business. So it's been a lot of kind of, I'm going to say, experimental guesswork, but educated in the sense we tried to use the books and similar effigies. So Wimborne Minster is one that's very, very similar period-wise to the one I'm going for. Kind of Wimborne Minster, which is John Beaufort, and Sir John Cressy are kind of almost twin harnesses. They're the first style of harness to have Italian-style cuirasses in England that we know of. I mean, that's physically depicted. Before we kind of move away from a nice difference between obviously mine and yours, Zach, is you have a very same period but English style in the contemporary, and I'm moving into more the transitional as we start to see the changes for the latter part of the 15th century. So that's been a really fun research project, and then loads of other stuff as well.
Did your copy? Did your copy of the effigy book turn up?
Yes, it did, and it turned up like 2 days later. So we went over to Nick's house for a dinner. I just got back off exercise, so I was very tired, and still managed to haul myself there. And he pulled out this really lovely effigy book that he's probably going to pull out now. There it is. That's it.
Got a super dry title.
It was like, this is a great book. You're going to need it. And the luck of, Amazon scanned it, and it was with me in 2 days. So I've now got a copy too, even though he lives like half an hour away. But still, I was like, I think I need a copy. So I also got that book. But yeah, I've been looking into Iron Age stuff. Just picked up a kind of an Iron Age knife recently when I was at Torm, which is a kind of a bit of a simple kind of style blade. But that's based on a Danebury Hillfort find made by Thomas Timbrell from Heritage Blades. So I looked down because I had it written down there. He's like probably in terms of Iron Age blades and stuff like that, he really puts his research in. He's the other half of Caroline Pario-Gallico. She's an Iron Age reenactor herself as well, and they both do it to an amazing standard. So he's a pretty good one for knives, and he does also supply.
He wants to show this really badly.
Drinking gourds. I know you didn't expect this to be underneath the camera, but it is.
Oh yeah, you missed it.
But this is a complete surprise for you. You've not seen this yet.
Giant dried vegetable.
I'm going to explain myself as I hold this large object.
Your magic gourd.
My magic gourd of our holy gourd and saviour.
This is a vegetable.
It's a vegetable.
Become a drinking.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach, for carrying me on this one. Put me on the wing. So basically Thomas did a lot of research into this, explained it massively at ARM for us because we were like, this looks amazing, we want in, sell us one right now. And he was basically saying that they're a very common drinking vessel, kind of, and they're multi-period as well, so they're great because they're gourds. I mean, we've had gourds knocking around for many years. They found them in first century Roman camps where they've had them kind of cut. They found bits of them that have been used for spoons, and they said actually as a vegetable that's been dried out, it's got lots and lots of uses. So that's my gourd. Our gourd actually.
It's his favourite project at the moment.
I want to say about 6 years ago, I experimented with growing gourds, and I managed to get one about this big off of the gourd vines that I planted. So you know, that's really cool.
It could have been a medicine, like like one of them D&D.
No, they were supposed to be eating gourds.
So you couldn't have hollowed out your tiny little.
No, it was I'd have to look at. I've got it written down somewhere what I did, but it was like looking at medieval recipes and like some of the vegetables that were available at different times of year, and one of them was some kind of gourd or like large root vegetable that's similar to a pumpkin but isn't a pumpkin. So I managed to get hold of some of these heritage seeds, and it did not go well.
Oh,
it was worth the experiment.
But you tried.
Yeah.
I love the idea of people tuning into this thinking like, oh, you know, I'm going to talk about history and armor, and it's just Nick and Mitch talking about vegetables. We could do
like March for talk. You literally just did
in fact, talking about farming.
The March of drinking vessel if ever I've ever seen one.
Needs more grading
to go so that you two can continue your board talk.
I'll be over in half an hour. Nick. Go.
Yeah. Nick, research. Have you done any research?
So, yes and no. So
moving on.
Yeah. When I was at Torm at the reenactment market, I was chatting with Ash about the effigy that my harness is based off, and I mentioned that I thought it was in. Let me start the sentence again. Mitch mentioned the Toby Capwell books, where it's a series of 3 books about English armor in the 15th century. And I have books 1 and 2, which is the first half of the 15th century and the second half of the 15th century. And the effigy that my harness is based on is not in either of those 2 books. And I do not currently have book 3. And I had mentioned this to Ash. He's like, no, I'm sure it was in book 2. Anyway, we didn't have time to look through all the way through book 2 to find it. So when I got home, that was one of the things that I looked for, and I'm pretty sure that the harness is not in book 2. And Mitch, you tell me the one that mine's based on is in book 3, so I really should get book 3. And the other thing was, having chatted with George about the medieval household research that he'd been doing, he inspired me to dig in behind the boxes of miniatures on the shelf and get out some of my medieval household and etiquette books and just refresh myself on them. So I wouldn't say I've learned anything new, but I think I've reminded myself about a bunch of stuff that I'd forgotten.
Cool.
And it's kindled some ideas for events next year, but nothing fully formed yet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great. Well, I tend to, from my research, I tend to get like hyper focused on something. If Mitch kind of spreads out across all of time and space, I'll just choose something and then really focus on it. So I've been really focusing on my LARP kit and that, and just really digging into things that I could use for that, which means that I'm really excited that now I can use this book as a primary source. The Art of the Two Towers. There is some great stuff in here. So yeah, really excited that these books from my when I was a teenager just poring over them, I can now use these to create a character and a costume. So yeah, that is to say, not really any research, but loads of great fun in coming up with a character and looking through that. So we should quick fire this, because we're events haven't been happening very much, probably. I'm excited that I have booked in for the July Empire LARP. I actually went ahead and booked my ticket. So because I believe that the prices go up in January, don't they? So if anyone's planning on LARPing at Empire, their prices are going up in January. So yeah, early bird booking is better. Have you guys got any events on the cards? Or
we've got 12th night coming up, So with our Anglo-Saxon group, so we've got a 12th night on the first weekend of January, which we've been meaning to go for 2 years, but we've not managed to. So this is the first year we've been able to go, and we're really excited because we have our own sort of Anglo-Saxon hall as part of our reenactment group, and they dress it up all nice, and there's a big feast, and there's sagas. So that's what we've got coming up. We've got nothing else until then, have we?
No. So we got that with Regular Anglorum, which we got Jorvik like in February, and then I've obviously got the 4 Empires next year that I'll be at, and then kind of we got our Middleton calendar, of course, can't miss them. Those who don't know, we're also in well, I think Zach's in it as well. We're all
we are all Middletons.
Did Zach know we were in the Middletons?
Yeah. Zach knew.
Yeah. Although Mitch doesn't, sometimes he'll drift off to another group like he did at Tewkesbury and fight against the Middletons.
I'm just here.
He's a floater. He just floats about at events. He just knows everybody. He's been in the game for so long that it's hard to keep track of where he is. I need a leash for you to keep you tied down to the Middleton camp.
Thanks, darling. I mean, I was on the same side. I was just in a different block.
Yeah.
I was just defending the king, just not Gloucester. Sorry, Nick.
Okay then. So
I've got Empires next year, and in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be putting together, or with the rest of the others who help run Middletons, I should say, who I help run Middletons. We'll be putting together the Middleton calendar for next year, looking at what events we've got. Got a couple of new ones that we might be putting on the calendar, depending on how those play out.
Great. Good. Well, we're in the off season now at the moment, aren't we? So it's all events we're looking forward to rather than ones. Ones that we.
And then we're meant to make things.
Yeah. Make things or buy things.
Make things or buy gold. There you go.
Yeah.
Out it comes.
So, Nick, you have got some questions. I don't remember which order you had these down as.
I think I've put them in the correct order here, but it's okay. I can.
Go on. You choose the first one.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. So
I prepped the questions for Zach to ask you. There we go.
Yeah.
Go on, Zach. Fire it.
Yeah. What we really wanted to know a bit more about you. You guys do a lot of reenacting. Your Instagrams are there's loads of inspirational photos on there, but obviously you started somewhere. So how did you get started? And what? Yeah.
So I've been reenacting for about 15 years. So quite a while. So yeah, half my life. And I started, I wouldn't say unconventional. My mum took me to a reenactment when I was 14. She knew I loved history and military history, and she was like, right, there's an event near us. It was at Wimpole Hall. I'm from North Hertfordshire. She took me along, and I was like stargazed by it. I couldn't believe this hobby even existed. I was like, I love, a 14-year-old that loves Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers and every war film going, and I was like, I want to do this. And she was like, okay, well, Christmas and your birthday, which are on the same day, is coming up. Let's get you kitted up and ship you off to an event. I mean, mum essentially got me into it from that. But then I did World War II for many years. Still do a bit of World War II, and I've just kind of opened up the funnel, I guess, and just got into more and more periods as I've got older, and that's how it kind of happened. And LARP, I started 2018 or 2019-ish. I got into it, so pre-COVID. I got invited by some old friends of mine that said, come try it out. You've got 15th century kit already. Easy transition. This great nation called the Marchers. See how you find it. Went to it. loved it, and yeah, I really enjoyed LARP too. So now I'm a reenactor and a LARPer, and that's kind of how I threw myself into it. So many years, quite a few years under my belt. Yeah, if I'd started any earlier, I'd have been crawling around the field.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Jess, what about you?
I haven't done reenactment for that long actually, so I've only been reenacting for about 2 years now, 2 and a bit years, basically. Yeah, about 2 years. I started 2021, and I basically set up my Instagram page during lockdown because I just loved history and I had nothing else to do and I just wanted to talk about history, but none of my normal friends were like very interested in what I had to say. So I thought, oh, I'll just set up this little Instagram page, and turns out there's a massive community online where there's loads of other nerds who love history, and I came across pages like Mitch's where they were doing living history and reenactment, and I was kind of, my interest was piqued and I was wondering what it was. So I just started chatting to both Mitch and some other reenactors, and they said, well, you should just come along to an event sometime. Like, you like history, you'll like dressing up, so why not just come and give it a go? So I went along to, it was a Wickhurst, so it was at our long haul. So Anglo-Saxons where I started. I went along to a long haul event with Regular, and yeah, and just kind of started from there really. I'm a baby in the scene at the moment, so
yeah, you've kind of just, well, you're,
I kind of get, because he's such a time tart, I have to obviously try and keep up with his time tartness. So but I mean, it's kind of, I love it as well though, to be honest.
Yeah,
I love medieval history. I've always been most passionate about medieval history, and luckily Mitch had kind of just transitioned into the medieval period with his reenactment, because before you were more modern based, weren't you, sort of world wars and things like that. So
yeah. I went a few years earlier.
Yeah, so kind of found each other at the right time really. So yeah, that's kind of, I just kind of fell into it after finding this I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea that reenactment existed until 2 years ago. It's like completely changed like my life in a really weird way, and a good way, in a really good way. So yeah.
Now you're a nerd.
And now well, I've always been a nerd, but now I'm an even bigger nerd, so it's great.
A nerd wearing wool.
Yeah. Dresses up in wool on the weekend.
So that kind of leads us to the next question, and there are some people are leaving questions in the chat. Please please do that. We are going to ask questions from the chat later. So the next question is, what is your favorite period or setting? So Mitch has already admitted that he hops around a bit. Yeah, what do you like?
Oh god, I love the medieval period as a whole. That's quite a big period, isn't it? I do like 15th century just because the fashion is just peaks. It's just really nice fashion, and I think that's where I've kind of found my place most within reenactment as a whole, and kind of getting a feel for what that kind of period was like. So I'd probably say 15th century, late 15th century at the moment, but I'm always open. I kind of like everything.
Yeah,
it's hard.
You
it's
like
hard
11th
to,
century Anglo-Saxon.
I love Anglo-Saxon as well. I just, yeah, I quite immersive. I enjoy all of it really. You just like everything, don't you?
Oh, that's a dangerous. Yeah, I think two of my big ones, like real. I mean, if you ask me, and I think it varies through your time in reenactment as well. What kind of becomes your favorite as you go along? Like, there's times if you'd asked me maybe like, 3 or 4 years ago, it'd been 18th century, 1750s kind of French Indian War. Like, I've got kit for that, and I got really into that, and I still got the kit and still love it. But things, I think, as your interests kind of change, and that's the great thing about reenactment as a whole, is it's a massive spectrum. But I really kind of, two of my big drivers that I hammer home are Anglo-Saxon, so kind of 10th, 11th century, especially 11th century with the Harold Godwinson kind of path, and I've been really pushing that one and trying to show the key difference between the fact that how we looked in the 11th century is not what we'd expect Anglo-Saxons to look like necessarily, and then the 1450s through to the 1480s, 1490s, 15th century with obviously the Middletons and alike. So they're two of my, I'd say two of my big ones as well. They're because I do them the most, and I get the most out of them. So probably they're two of my favorite. But that list is long. for all different reasons as well. That's the thing. I've got there's no like I love this only. I love this, but it's more I love this because and there's massive amounts. Yeah.
Basically,
the question.
Yeah, all of them. So you guys run a magazine, an online magazine. If you've if you've been with the channel for a while, you'll know a little while ago I posted that I had written an article for the magazine. So that went up in the last edition. It's called Living Medieval, which I guess speaks to your preference of the medieval period. What made you want to start Living Medieval, and when did it start?
It started in January, really, this year, kind of end of last year, January this year, and it kind of stemmed from, because obviously I'm new to reenactment, and when I started meeting reenactors, talking with reenactors, hanging out with them, I learned so much in such a short space of time, and it's just like this whole community of people with so much passion and knowledge, and they do so much research, and they're a great bunch to be around. And I just thought there's this whole group of people that have so much that they could share and people can learn from and bust myths about the medieval period, because myths in the medieval period kind of get my goat. And I just thought, why not try and bring those people together and share their knowledge, not only for me to learn, but for other people to kind of see that, you know, a bit more about this hobby that I didn't know about, and open it up for people to learn about, and to see that actually, you know, you can really delve into the past and really understand it better through the hobby. There are sort of more academic articles in there as well. But yeah, so it kind of started as kind of me just being nosy, me wanting to learn more, and then through that helping other people learn as well. And it's kind of just spiraled a little bit into something a little bit bigger. I dragged him along for the ride as well. But yeah, that's kind of how the magazine started. Willingly. Okay. I dragged him willingly.
So tell us about the magazine. What would you find inside it? Yeah, how is it available?
Yeah, so I just guess I can talk about this one. So the magazine, it consists of kind of like 4 segments. Is it 4? Yes, 4 segments. Was it 3? I can't remember now off the top of my head on the spot.
It's 3.
It's 3. There we go. So it's broken down into kind of living historians alike that kind of write about you know, whether it's a place, an event, a kit they built up, a craft that they want to talk about. You know, stuff like that, and bits and pieces. And then we've got more of the kind of academic part of it.
When we say academic, we mean just stuff that's kind of more. We call it the medieval world section, because it's more about events and people and places rather than like a living history impression or craft. So that's kind of the distinction, but it's not necessarily.
Yeah, not so. It's more just. Yeah, it's not so writing about living history itself. It is more about like the world itself and that many words. And we got manuscripts and media.
Yeah, it's just our funky way.
It's kind of a funky way of talking about that, something that's not kind of an article. Essentially, it's more of you know, we've had short films, books, stuff like that kind of appeals to that period and might appeal to readers as well. So it kind of brings a lot of different areas together. We've tried to cater for kind of. It's not just a living historian purely, you know, magazine. It caters for kind of a wide spectrum of readers. It's an online magazine. It can be found at Living Medieval.
It's free.
It's free as well. It costs absolutely nothing. And it's not just us that write it. That's probably the best part about it, is it's contributed by the community.
Yeah.
And anyone can write for it. And people can, you know, and we have so many different good articles, and we've had all sorts. We've had Middle Ardor Centre in Denmark write for us. We've had Toby Capwell's written for us. Zach, you've written for us. You know, we've had your old professor.
So that was quite special actually. My old lecturer from uni, Professor Helen Nicholson. So she was my uni lecturer years ago, and she did an article about the Templars. And we've also had. You just mentioned Toby Capwell, Matt Lewis as well, and just loads of amazing living historians. And we just kind of curate articles people can propose them via our website, so they can offer to, you know, an idea that they want to write about, or we approach people specifically saying, would you like to write about your area of expertise? And yeah, we just like to get a big eclectic sort of selection of articles just to kind of give a more well-rounded view of the period as a whole, really.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do anyway. Whether we succeed, I don't know, but we try.
It's
Yeah.
it's released kind of 4 times a year as well. We look, yeah, it's 4 times a year.
Roughly 4 times.
So we've released
yeah.
3 already.
One small kind of like special winter editions coming out shortly. So yeah, we try to do 4 times a year, but that's it in a nutshell, really.
And if you've not gone there, I've done a couple of posts about it, so you can go on my YouTube channel and find the old posts and get the link there. But we'll also put the link in the description. The quality of article, the quality of editing and presentation is just, it's so professional.
Thank you.
For some, like, it doesn't seem like this should be being given away for free. Like, this is better than what you would buy in the shops.
Oh.
So yeah, so if you haven't looked, give yourself a slap on the wrist and then go and look now. You don't even need to read my article. There are some incredible articles in there by all sorts of experts. Yeah, it's really high quality, and
it's probably one of the things,
and obviously a passion.
Yeah, one of the things we found hardest was the design of it at the start, because we didn't know how to design magazines, and we don't have a background in design, so it was very much a trial and error.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow her horn a little bit here. Jess doesn't have any design experience whatsoever, and took on this project and created a website and a magazine from scratch. I think we trialed and error, like kind of a few different platforms. So she tried Adobe, and eventually settled on actually Canva as being the one that you made it on, didn't you? And
yeah, then, Adobe was a bit too complex for me in my simple mind. I couldn't quite work out Adobe, so we went for Canva.
Yeah, you've been the kind of you're the brainchild in putting that magazine together. And yeah, I'll sing her praises, because she's quite modest in the way she comes across about it, but
very British.
Very British. Yeah, you're very modest about it, aren't you? And I tell her what a brilliant job she does, and she, like you said, she produces a magazine that essentially looks like professional.
And Katia, so Katia's an assistant sort of editor as well. So it's 3 of us in the team at the moment. So I'll give Katia a shout out as well, because she does help.
Great. So I don't think, with this kind of being your baby, we can't ask you to choose favorites, but what are some of your highlights of the articles that you've received so far? And obviously your favorite one is the one that I sent, so you don't need to.
Yeah, that's the best. I mean,
but if someone was heading over to your magazine now, which one should they look out for? And I'll start with you, Mitch, and you've got 1 minute and 30 seconds to give me an answer.
30 seconds, right? Here we go. So there's you can talk about Sarah Vidis' one.
No, just go.
Okay, so there's a great article about medieval women from Sarah Vidis. She's a great reenactor and Instagrammer, and she kind of breaks down those walls of what people think about medieval women. Really has got some really research topic that she's thrown in there. You've got Pralos Prince, who is a medieval printer. Actually works at Middle Arts Centre, and they're one of the few out there in the world that authentically medieval print. And I've got one of their prints, and it's great. And that's an amazing article. Northwood Bowman wrote about Boston bows, about making English longbows and the trials and tribulations of doing it correctly. I can keep going.
What's your favourite?
I don't have a favourite. I don't pick favourites. They're all
That's
great.
okay, because you've had your 1 minute and 30 seconds. So
I'm done.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's your turn now.
Okay. Jess, you can take as much time as you like. We
Thank
just need to start putting time limits on Mitch.
Start listing all of the articles.
He'll be talking all evening.
Obviously, so the article by Toby Capwell, I really enjoyed just because it was sort of a first-hand account of the funeral of Richard III. I think that's a really kind of unique insight into that. Most of the living history articles are about sort of impressions or personal impressions that people created, and there's one particularly about an Anglo-Saxon cunning woman, which I really love. That's in the 2nd edition. There's a medieval recipe by a lady called Polona that we met in a medieval village in Denmark, and she creates medieval meals for a living, and she's done a whole article about European medieval cuisine, and she's given you 3 recipes, which I really like because that kind of brings sort of the research and the practical aspect of medieval history into one. Oh my gosh, there's so many that I love. Zach, yours is brilliant. I actually really liked yours as well, because you kind of talk about how, okay, yeah, we don't have photographs from history, but you know, as long as you look at the evidence that we do have with, you know, the positives and the negatives of them in mind, you know, you can form quite accurate impressions of the past.
Table manners.
There's one about table manners. So Nick, you mentioned something earlier about etiquette in the past. So in the 1st edition, somebody's written about medieval table manners, based on, I think it was a 13th century manuscript. It was an Italian manuscript based on sort of how you should behave at the dinner table. And it's quite relevant to how we behave today, you know, whether you should put your elbows on the table and stuff like that. And it's quite interesting, slurping your soup spoons and things that weren't allowed. And it's just a really cool way to kind of feel connected to the past as well, through research that living historians have done. There's also loads of great photography in there, like some of the reenactment photographers are so good. So
that is what I was going to say, actually. As a visual learner and a very visual person, just even if you were never to read a word in the magazine, which you should, it's just gorgeous. The photography, the images, it's so appealing to look at, and there's so many great photographs of high quality impressions. It's just worth looking at. So definitely, guys, check it out, and check out some of those highlights. I think it sounds like this is definitely your passion project, because I asked you for highlights and you've listed like 50% of the
entire magazine.
Probably keep going. Just all of it. Just love all of it. Feel like even the contents page.
It was about making something as well that like you said, that looks nice, because I think there are loads of great magazines out there with like paid subscriptions, but sometimes they're quite text heavy. And with Living Medieval and with reenactors and living historians, a lot of the time we do the hobby because you're more of a practical person, or you're trying to get the hands-on experience, and you don't necessarily want to sit down and read like pages and pages of information. So the combination of like writing and photography was a way to kind of make it a little bit more interesting to look at, I suppose.
Not kind of, we didn't want to make it massive articles either. And we know like a lot of reenactors, like, I'm no writer by any regards. You know, I'm a keen reenactor and researcher and living historian, but I'm not like the best writer in the world. But trying to contain the articles in the sense that we kind of, everyone's got a chance to write. They're not got to produce 2 whole A4 pages of text. They could, it could be a small text, image heavy if they want. So it caters to everyone, potentially, and how they write and what they want to produce, and that was a big part of it. And trying to, like you said, trying to make it appealing, visually appealing. We all love visual things and stuff like that, and that's normally what draws us in. And it kind of just accidentally happened.
Accidentally through a lot of work.
So, Nick, do you have any extra questions before we move on?
Well, I was thinking about people submitting to your magazine. Like, what's the process they go through? What kind of articles do you get loads of? What kind of articles do you want more of? That kind of thing.
Actually, we get a lot of articles that fall into our medieval world category. So ones about events, people, places. We get quite a lot of submissions for those, and actually not so many on the living history front. So we generally try to approach people for the living history ones. And again, I think that goes back to the fact that it's a practical hobby. People don't join it to write about it, they join it to display it. So it can sometimes be quite difficult to get people, reenactors specifically, to write about their hobby. So I mean, we want all articles of all topics, but living history, we kind of like a little bit more of those, really.
Yeah.
But to contribute, there's a page on our website that says Write For Us, and go on there and you just fill in a little form with your idea, your social media or your email address, and just ping off your proposal to us. We'll have a flick through, see if it, is something that, we haven't said no to anybody yet, have we?
No.
And see
Take
whether
it
it fits in with the magazine and the ethos of the magazine, and then we'll say yeah, and then you can write for us. But I think because it's voluntary and it's a sort of a passion project on our part, it can be challenging sometimes to find people.
Yeah, but voluntary things are good, but it's hard to try and get people in the door to write.
Because it takes time.
We're asking people to take time out of their busy schedules to write for something that they're not getting paid for, and we're not getting paid for either. But it's still can be quite difficult. We understand it can be quite challenging for people to find that time. So it's kind of trying to but then on the flip side of it, people might have all this, something they really wanted to write about, and they built this amazing impression. They wanted to get onto paper, and they've just not really kind of had the chance. And we hoped that the magazine would be that kind of window where people, they can display that. They can go, I built this amazing impression of so and so. It's taken me all this research. I've done all this stuff.
Gives them a platform.
It's a platform.
To show off,
it's like
basically.
It's like a springboard to kind of show off to the world that this is what I've done, and they should be proud of it. And that's what because as all of us in this chat as living historians, we know how hard we can kind of toil over source searching and just everything to try and get something right, and how long it can take us, and how much can be laying there. It's the last thing we think of at night, or maybe just me, I don't know. But yeah, so that's that's the hardships and the good kind of there.
And I think even though we want more of the living history articles, and we get lots of the medieval world ones, we still want all articles regardless of subject matter. So we encourage article submissions that cover the period 500 to 1500 as a general rule, and so there's a massive breadth of time and space and topics and events and people and places that they can cover, so it's just a big subject area that we just want to learn from you guys. We just want to learn from you and then share what you know with everybody else. That's what we want to do. You're going to do one about your armor, actually.
Eventually. I think I'm
right,
because I did a feature on my Harold 11th century armor, and that was on the website. So there's an area of the website that kind of for smaller articles, if you don't want to kind of write something so big, there's an area on the website where you can kind of write a small feature. And I did a part of my kind of Harold Godwinson armor and my 11th century Saxon armor on there. But I'm going to do a feature probably on my 1445 harness once I've got it and got some really nice distance-looking photos of it.
Once you've had your little photo shoot together,
yeah,
we can get you
from in there, it's because I know it's definitely something I can talk a lot about. I know that for certain. So we're gonna get that in there.
We'll get you some paired pole axes, and you two can go at it, and you can have a video on the web article as well.
I'm down for it. To do it.
I think the issue is that when you're doing your 15th century impression, you're going to have to shave your moustache, because it's good for Anglo-Saxon and it's good for World War One, but 15th century is clean shaven. So
I will happily pull up a beautiful effigy, Zachary, that Nick knows about, that has the most 80s rock star tash in 1480. I've got it in the back pocket ready for this moment. But
I think we need to do some extra research on that. We need to find out the whether that's actually not a Victorian alteration.
I'm gonna get it.
They glued it on.
Don't
Yeah.
worry. I think I'd lose half my personality if I lost the sash.
That could be your next research.
That's a generous estimate, saying you'd lose half of it, mate.
Nick,
Thanks, Nick.
Nick and I shave every event when we're 15th century high status.
I
Don't.
would shave it off, but my job role means I will struggle to get it back.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an all-in deal.
There's a massive sunk cost there, isn't there?
Yeah,
It's fine.
so I think it looks nice in harness. I think it's a nice touch. I mean, it does touch on the kind of the early 15th century effigies of the glorious moustaches outside of bassinets.
Yeah. Well, maybe that could be your next project.
Maybe
You should base all of your reenacting around moustaches. All of the
Can you
moustache
imagine?
periods.
I mean, that sounds like an article.
Just
Moustache through the ages.
Century.
the upper lip transitions.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Moustaches through time.
So, Nick, did you have any more questions? I think there's a couple.
I think we've hit all the bases. I was just scrolling through chat to find out if there's we have the expected question from Adrian.
I've seen it.
I did see that. Yeah.
So there was one which was about reenacting in America, or American reenacting over in England. Here we go. Josh Lopez says, how hard would it be for an American to become part of medieval reenactments over in England? I have no idea. I do know that a friend of mine used to fly over from Germany. He kept all of his kit in a storage unit in the UK, and he'd fly over for each event. I don't know that is particularly friendly on the wallet. One thing that I would say is that a friend of mine who runs the Turnip of Terror YouTube channel, he's trying to put together an event space in the US similar to the Medieval Center. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then maybe getting in contact with him and looking at that. I could put a link to that in the description as well. So he's trying to create a medieval village. Go on, Nick, you look like you've got something to say on this.
I was thinking about like how difficult the logistics are for doing events traveling from England to Europe, because I've done a few events in Europe, like reenactment events in Europe, traveling with armor and weapons and this kind of thing across trains, planes, and automobiles. And the hassle, well, not hassle, the amount of effort required to make it work simply for doing an event in kind of Germany or the Czech Republic means that I think I would be very impressed and would welcome anyone who went to that effort to travel from America with kit to do events in England. But I mean, if it's something that you really want to do, then none of these things are impossible. As you say, that they're just not kind on the wallet, and they would require paperwork.
And I think you've got to be careful with things like this. If it is your hobby, you don't want it to become as stressful or more stressful than work. Yeah. And in many ways, you can do what Jess has done. Well, Mitch and Jess, they saw that there was a gap. They wanted people to share their knowledge, and there was no magazine that really did that, and so they've created it. And that does take a lot of effort to create something like that, but it would take a lot of effort to fly over and attend a lot of events. So I think, in my experience, it's been good to do traveling occasionally. I haven't done masses of traveling, but you don't want to turn your hobby into something that's more stressful than work. Jess and Mitch, did you have anything to say to that?
Well, we've travelled for reenactment a couple of times. So we went to Denmark for a week to do reenactment. So that's within Europe. So it is easier, I suppose, because we're within Europe. But I mean, we have a friend from Canada who reenacts over here. She lives here now, actually, but she's from Canada and she used to kind of travel over to do it. And I think it is possible. From America, like you say, I think probably quite expensive, but if you're coming over for a certain amount of time or make connections with people before you go, like we did with Denmark, so you can organize, your accommodation, it's definitely possible. It's just a bit more logistically difficult from America, I think, depending on what you want to bring over. With Denmark, we were quite lucky because they had at the Middelalder Center, they have like a whole cupboard. I say cupboard. It's like a whole basement full of kit that you can borrow, accurate reenactment kit that you can borrow so that you can reenact in the village with all of the other people that work there. So that was quite handy. But again, if you're coming from America, it depends on how much or how little you want to bring and what it is, what period you're reenacting, because some periods obviously require very specific, sometimes heavier pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
So
I think it definitely can be done. Like, I mean, so Feldlager that happened a large event that happened in Germany in September. I know there were Americans, there were Australians, both in there at that event. I mean, they're kind of the two furthest away places in terms of trying to get in that middle ground. That's some distance to cover, especially Australia to Germany. And they did manage it for that event. So it is possible. I know Toby Catwell, he literally puts his armour in a giant suitcase and checks it in. So
having said that, there were Australians in Denmark as well.
So yeah, there were Australian reenactors when we were in Denmark as well. So I think it is possible. It's just like Zach and Nick, you've covered it. Logistically, it's quite logistically hard. So you have to you can't just treat it like a normal holiday because there are a few workarounds, and then also
make it a nice long holiday. I suppose if you're going to do it, there's no point coming over just for a weekend. Try and make it so you're attending. Like we went for a week at the medieval centre, and the Australians that were there were then going on to Visby in Sweden. So they had made like a couple of week trip. So they really made the most of it.
Yeah, if you're going to make that long haul, you probably try and match up a couple of events that are a weekend from each other, where you can fill the gap with traveling and then hit another event straight after and get the more bang for your buck.
But you only live once, so you might as well.
Yeah, why not? Eh? Come on.
Yeah, great. Nick, do you want to ask the Adrian question?
Okay. If you were a knight and you could ride any animal, what dinosaur would you ride?
Oh, this is a hard one. I don't know the names of dinosaurs very well.
I think I'm ready.
Go on then.
Right.
Oh, I know what I would ride. Right, okay.
Hey, is it the same as mine? What's yours? Whisper yours. That's going to be mine.
No!
Oh. Right. You're going to do it? Are you going to steal mine?
Yeah. I vote pterodactyl.
It was going to be mine. And
okay.
But go on, Jess. Go on.
I vote pterodactyl.
You
got to be in a dodo. Yeah, a dodo.
A dodo.
Yeah, I vote pterodactyl just because you can own the air, swoop down, do your nightly duties, and then zoom off again. It can't hurt you. And also, it's the first dinosaur that I can remember the name of, apart from the Brontosaurus, which is the really tall one that is very peaceful and doesn't run very fast, so probably wouldn't be ideal.
I mean, no one's going to get near that one, though. I mean, someone put up, do you think he saw us? I was going to say pterodactyl as well.
Okay.
And that was basically because everyone, if you're like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, stuff like that. Everyone would have to ride on the back of a dragon, and the closest you can get to ride on the back of a dragon is sat strapped to the back of a pterodactyl.
I think we're going to have Nick. Can you adjudicate here, because I think it's a well-known fact amongst 8-year-olds that pterodactyls are not dinosaurs. Are we going to allow this?
No, right.
That is not.
I thought that it was a group.
No.
I thought the pterodactyl was like a category of dinosaur.
I think it's classed as.
Adrian has denied. Adrian stuff has denied the pterodactyl. So
Okay.
I'll go back to Brontosaurus then.
You go Brontosaurus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for why Brontosaurus?
Because I feel really sorry for them, because they're really big and slow. And I also watched Jurassic World.
Oh, you.
And there's a scene in
Christ.
Jurassic World where the Brontosaurus goes towards the edge of the pontoon as the
He's a
planet
sad
is breaking. And I just feel like if it had a knight on its back, it probably would have survived.
And what did you do, Jess?
I cried. I cried when it died.
I'm just thinking of one now.
Yeah. Or the spiky
Oh.
one.
I'm going to go for a Triceratops.
Yeah, those ones.
And the reason being is because you don't need a shield.
Yeah.
When the animal literally is designed with a massive shield in front of it, and it's almost got a jousting lance. It's got three. Well, it's got two of them.
Is that the one with the tail?
No, that's a different one. This is the one with the big like swoopy head and the horns that stick out. And
great.
Yeah, I'm going for that one because you can ram stuff, you can push stuff out of the way. You can be pretty high up on its back, so you're quite hard to lance off your dinosaur. I think and you're heavy, so things can't just pick you up and take you away somewhere.
I do wonder if this if the choice of dinosaur changes if everybody else on the battlefield is also riding dinosaurs.
True. Yeah, they do well.
Yeah.
Why didn't we pick a T-Rex now?
Because
he'd ride Shane.
Don't worry about that. I know exactly who that is, and it's an old friend of mine that's asking if I'd ride. Shane is essentially an old Reamy from the army veteran that was in an old group of mine, the Suffolk Regiment, and he's an interesting person. And I'm not going to ride him into battle.
I must say, when I posted that you guys were coming on, I think there's a lot of people in the world who wouldn't understand that British people are mean to people that we love and respect.
Yeah.
Because if you were to just read the comments, then you would think, wow, a lot of people really hate Mitch. But as a British person, I'm like, oh, that's one of Mitch's friends. Oh, there's another one of Mitch's friends.
Yeah. I need to know where this post is. I need to see these comments. What one is this?
I mean, you probably don't want to see it, to be honest. It's fine. Maybe they actually do not like you. You never know. Yeah, as Mitch gets a lot of flack from various LARP and reenactor acquaintances. Okay, so we're going for Brontosaurus because Jess feels sorry for them.
Well, yeah, but also, they're quite tall, so you're out of height already, so maybe they won't be able to get you.
That was
you could climb the neck if you need to get up tall, higher. They could smash things with their neck and wipe things out of the way. They can stand on top of smaller dinosaurs. So I've thought this through, guys.
Have you?
I have.
Yeah.
But also, they are probably the cutest of all the dinosaurs.
Okay. Good.
What about you? What do you guys?
Mitch, mine is Carnotaurus because it's just the most dinosaur-y dinosaur to ever dinosaur. It's basically a T-Rex, but it's got shorter arms, so it's like extra T-Rexy, and it's also got horns on its head, so it's slightly Triceratops as well. So the only thing that would make it more dinosaur would be if it had a long neck and a thagomizer. So that's my choice.
Dinosaurs.
What's that?
Isn't that one in the film Dinosaurs? Remember the old animated film? I got it like it's like, I say animated. Yeah, it was kind of animated, CGI-ish film Dinosaurs. Wasn't that the main predator?
I think you're quite a bit younger than me, so so maybe the old. I'm thinking The Land Before Time. When you're talking about the old film, I'm thinking Land Before Time.
You saw The Land Before
yeah,
Time.
because I've seen Land Before Time.
No, I don't think I've seen the old film Dinosaur, but I'll check it out if it's got a Carnotaurus in. I'll check it out. Nick, what was your choice again?
I think I possibly had the first round of Triceratops.
Yeah.
Good man, Nick.
It's a solid choice.
I had Triceratops before. It was cool.
I mean, a Velociraptor wouldn't be a bad one.
They're very small.
That's the only thing. That's the thing. They're fast, but they're just a bit small though.
If you just like spring around, it'd be like
you'd need two of them. You'd need to wear one on each foot.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
or a chariot pulled by Velociraptor.
It'd be like you're riding on the back of someone doing parkour. but with Usain Bolt's speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the it's really interesting because Adrian always joins us for a live stream, so it's really great to see you again, Adrian. He always asks that question, and it's really interesting. Usually there are two types of answer. There's the one person who's like, I definitely know the answer to this.
Yeah.
This is something I have dreamt about my entire life. And then there are other people who go, I really have no idea. And now we've got a third group, which is someone who has a definitive answer, but it's not based on like martial prowess, but on the cuteness of the dinosaur.
Who's that?
So
Have you seen the scene in Jurassic World that I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know the scene. Yeah, I know
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So it is yeah. Everyone was very sad.
This, I do wonder if this question of what dinosaur would you like, how often do you think about riding dinosaurs into battle is this podcast's equivalent of how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost every day.
I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the magazine again?
Go on.
Sorry?
Tell us about the magazine. Where can we find it?
Yeah.
Livingmedieval.com. So you can find all the past 3 editions on livingmedieval.com. We're also on Facebook, Living Medieval, and we're also on Instagram at Living Medieval Official. So you can find us on. I've just seen that comment about Romans on dinosaurs. So that's where you can find us, and you can write for us from the webpage, and you can get in touch with us on social media if you want to write for us. You can submit your photos to be included, anything. So we're interested in anyone who's got passion. You don't need to be a writer. You don't need to be an academic from an academic background. You just need to be passionate, and you need to know something about the medieval period, and you want to share it, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So we can share it with everybody else and show how amazing you are.
Check it out. Oh,
and your guys' socials are?
Oh yeah, so if you want to check us out, so on Instagram I'm at Mitch of the Fjord, like Saxon Fjord, FYRD. So check it out for random costume changes throughout the periods. And
I'm just History with Jess. So we put our own sort of impressions on there. So yeah,
it's kind of a portfolio of our living history impressions. And we've not really talked about our own Instagrams much, but the reason we had them was, I mean, all reenactors, we don't really have many creative places we take photos in our kit. We don't actually take the time to take photos of our kit. We go to events, we get in our kit, we walk around. The pictures that get taken of us are normally with a crowd in the background or you never see them and stuff like that. And you never really get an authentic setting for your photos of this kit you're taking all your time to put together. And so a key one was, I started my account during lockdown, was to get a photo in a setting that can you can look at it and link into Zach's article. There are no pictures of the periods we ever want to look at in the early medieval periods, but if someone could see a snapshot of someone for that period, what would it look like, and try and visually transport people to, you know, something that looks, you know, a research kit that looks nice, and, you know, there's no car in the background or a garden fence or something like that. It's actually, you know, you can look at that and go, oh, that's you know, that's something there. That's kind of
medieval vibes, just bringing it to life for people as well, and just trying to make it a bit more relatable, I suppose, by bringing the stories alive. Because with Instagram as well, you've got the combination of photo, music, and word, so you can and video as well, so you can really make people kind of immerse in it. But we do it accurately to most extent. We try and do it authentically, so everything that we portray is actually what they would have worn. And when you're in a world that's full of, like, I mean, this new Hollywood movie that's coming out, King and Conqueror, when you know it's going to be a really historically inaccurate impression of the period, and so we try our hardest to try and show it authentically and kind of make people feel like immersed in it.
And like all reenactors, none of us are perfect. I mean, I could never, I don't think any of us can turn around and go, this kit is 100% bob on. We don't. One, we never know, and two, we're always developing. Like, everyone's built. There's probably bits on my kit that are never 100% correct, and I think everyone should always hold their hands up to that. That it's always a work in progress. But yeah, we just try and portray it in a light, really, in the best light we can, especially UK living history, and we've made some great friends across the continent with it. That, you know, we get to do stuff with. It's great.
To do stuff with.
I get to do stuff with, yeah.
Sit in a field in wool.
I'm trying to cut down myself. I'll talk forever. Nick knows I'll talk forever. Zach knows as well. And
he had a brief before.
Yes, definitely knows I'll talk forever. I've got to clean. I've done that.
Yeah, I forgot to say you had time limit with that one, mate.
Yeah.
That was a good idea, mate.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, now I know why you gave him the time limit. Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice. I should start doing that.
I'm a never-ending machine gun.
Yeah.
Sometimes at school we use those little egg timers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just thinking we could get one on the screen, I'm sure.
No, you can't do this to me.
Have a countdown theme tune.
I think we need to give Jess one for real life that she can just carry around with her.
I need that.
No. She can ramble. I'm telling you.
We can modify the gourd into
Don't
egg time.
bring the gourd into this. Not the holy gourd.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys, and thank you very much, chat, for coming along and joining us. It's been a bit different this evening. We've just been finding out about Mitch and Jess and what inspired them. If you are at all interested in medieval history, which you probably are if you clicked on this video, then go and find the magazine, and you will definitely find something that you like there. If you'd like to support what we're doing on the channel, then please do find the Patreon link in the description down below. And big thanks to all of the people that have signed up there and everyone who has liked and subscribed to the channel. If you've watched an hour and 20 minutes of us talking, then you've probably gone far enough that you need to click like right now, and probably subscribe if you haven't already. If you have already subscribed, don't click subscribe, because then it will unsubscribe. Thank you, guys. We will see you next month, and we will have some more videos in the meantime, but we'll live stream next month on the first Wednesday of January
2024.
What are we watching?
Yeah, that'll be episode 12. That'll be a year of
It will, and it'll be like the day before my birthday or something like that.
Ooh.
Oh,
to be honest, I need
yeah.
to check. I need to make sure that I'm around.
Yes.
A couple of days after my son's birthday. I think I am. Who am I more scared of, Nick or my wife?
I would say you.
I think we all know the answer to that question.
No, yeah. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.
We'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.